1 week ago today, our church was struck by lightning at the peak of the roof of the sanctuary over the chancel area. Fire started. An alarm sounded, but even before the alarm sounded, a passerby saw the lightning strike and called it in. So we were incredibly fortunate in the minimal amount of damage that was done. But here's a takeaway that we've had since then, because people have just poured out their help and support and encouragement and prayers. So in addition to all the firefighters, I'm told there were about 80 who came in the middle of the night to fight this fire. We have been in a place for a week now that we have received help and support from others, which made us realize following Jesus requires at least these two things of us. It requires us to help others, but it also requires us to be able to receive help. And so this last week has been a great experience for us that are a part of this church to receive help from others, gracious, selfless help. We aren't always very good at receiving help. We're much better at offering help. And that's the point I want to invite you to consider today. Because my guess is you are better at giving help or offering help than at receiving help. And I think this is true of our congregation. It's probably true of you. But I invite you to consider this as well. In your willingness, your eagerness, your habit of offering help, what do you expect in return? Most of us would answer immediately, I don't expect anything in return. But I want to invite you to consider these two things. Many of us who help without even having to be asked really want some kind of notice. We want appreciation. We want someone to know that we have helped. But here's another thing. Most of us who help quickly and selflessly, we expect whoever we help to need the help. Even some of us dare say we want them to deserve the help. And so we set up all kinds of expectations and patterns and things about who deserves our help. And we don't want to help just anybody. We want to make sure that we maximize the effect of our help. So we want to help people who deserve our help. But I want to invite you to consider this week these two things. If we are to be people who follow Jesus, we have to have these two characteristics. One, we have to be people who can accept and willingly accept help from others, not just from God, but from other people. If we say we want help from God, but not from others, we don't get what God was about in Jesus. But I want you to consider also this week the kind of help that you're so willing to do. Are you willing to help without recognition? Are you willing to help independent of whether you think someone deserves your help or not? And I remind you simply of this. In Philippians, Paul writes, and this is one of the earliest hymns of the church, that Christ humbled himself. He didn't consider equality with God as something to be grasped, but he humbled himself. He emptied himself. He didn't seek glory or recognition. He didn't ask if we were worth helping. He simply helped. So in your effort to follow Jesus a little better today than yesterday, I invite you, like Paul invited all of us, to have the same mind in us that was in Christ.